So welcome to the Maythorn Monthly. I'm down by the River Mersey on the Wirral, and we're at Wallasey, very near to Vale Park. We'll be looking at Vale Park another time, but for now we're going to join all the other walkers and cyclists and watch the boats go by on the river. Back to Bulgaria now, and in the district of Shumen, just outside the town centre of Shumen, there's some parkland and forestry, and there's a fortress, and there's, did I mention the brewery? Yes, a Carlsberg sign will give you the clue. Also, it's a nice area to go wandering round. It's great for wildlife. The birds are well looked after. They've been given some really nicely painted nest boxes, and there's also a local bear. Don't believe me? Have a look at this. They've built it a cave as well. Back in Spain at Marina d'Or, where we shoot some photographic models from time to time, you'll see my colleague Cole here, who introduced me to the Osmo camera in 2016. I had to have one after that, and here he is using it to capture the movements of various models in latex gear. Why does he do that? Well, because he's got a whole channel devoted to latex fashion. I can't say I'm a fan of latex myself, but the scenery's great, and if you're a visitor to Marina d'Or from time to time, you may recognise some of the backgrounds. Cole has been to Spain quite a few times, and to Marina d'Or itself several times as well, so we're used to shooting models in this beautiful location. Back here on the Wirral at Liso, where we're walking along by the lighthouse, the weather's just a little bit different, but still a nice fresh day, and we're getting our exercise. Going back to Bulgaria and to the village of Serova Korea, where my friend Colin has a house that he's trying to sell. So I thought we'd bring you this video from 2007, seems to be our favourite year this month, where we went and got the place ready for a party. If you're interested in this, there's the wall round the property and the gate to come in and the plot of land, and there's what looks like a carport, but I did actually wander around there with the camera, and it's not wide enough to drive a car onto this area, but it goes all around the back, and I'm sure you'll think of something useful to do with it. What you can see is how well decorated the house was, and how it's all lots of stone and timber beams and so on. Okay, it's been a few years, it's probably a bit overgrown by now, but Colin's hoping to go back in the near future and clean it up a bit, ready to sell. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We'll be back to this house later on, and we'll be having a barbecue.
So he doesn't want this at the moment.
Is it a log burner, is it?
Yeah.
For now, just admire the views across to the hills and have a look around the house. It's got a bathroom, living room and 2 bedrooms, the double and one with 2 singles, and for some reason a window that looks between the 2. Well, each to their own.
one whole day with this, and then that was enough. It's done its bit. Oh, I have to admit, this is actually quite happy to live here.
I wouldn't mind a banana actually.
Bananas.
So a quick property update for this month, and handyman Bob has been up at the Trything cottage. He's been up ladders. At the back of the house he's been taking off the old render. Most of it just falls off as you hack at it. And at the front of the house he's been replacing the gutters because we've had some leaks. So I'm socially distancing at the bottom of the ladder with my foot on it, and he's up the top and he's replacing the gutter. And then we got it tested, because as soon as we walked back in the house it started to pour with rain, which was very convenient. So there you are, good timing. The weather held off while we put the gutters up, and then it rained for us to test them. Great stuff. Anyway, moving on to the technology, and this camera is the camera I've been using more or less the whole time we've been in lockdown, because you're not supposed to make non-essential journeys, so we'd made our normal essential journeys, just this was in my pocket all the time, so captured a few things. A couple of gadgets to show you this month. I already showed you one a few months ago. This is a base for it. I said it made it more stable, so you can then put it in this base. You gain a socket on the bottom for going on a stand, and a USB socket on the side that extends the one that's normally in the base. I've got a very similar looking one to show you this month. It does the same thing, it goes on there. There's no sockets anywhere on it, so it must have some other purpose, right? Yes, it does. It's a wireless module. Last month I showed you that this connector here allows you to plug this camera into a phone and view the pictures that you're taking on a phone screen. What if you want this further away? The wireless module helps, and a bit later on come back to me and I'll show you how. Right now though, we're going to take a little trip back to New Brighton, where I started off the programme, and while I was up there I filmed in Vale Park. Now there are some very creative people who make things out of driftwood up there, and I've shown you this a few years ago, but they've all changed, so some new creations for you to see this time. So that was Vale Park, New Brighton, and some pretty good stuff in there, worth a look. Now, back to this. This is the Osmo Pocket camera with the Wi-Fi module on the bottom. This is my phone with the app, and as you can see, there's a picture of a TV. The reason you're seeing that is because there's a TV over there. I don't know if I can actually put this round to look at me. Right, so it's now pointing at me. If I want to place this camera somewhere, let's say I want to look over a wall, or I want to take some pictures of birds flying into their nest, this has now got a flat bottom, and I can put it up somewhere high up near a bird's nest, and I can monitor the pictures coming back wirelessly on here. So I might try that for next month, see if I can get you some of the birds that are flying around our garden. So there you are, that's one use of the wireless module, straight to the phone. I'll show you another use for this wireless module and the chance to get some more remotely featured pictures later on when I bring on a selfie stick. But right now I'm going to bring on the Canaries, a new spot for this month, Canary Corner I'm calling it, why not? It's part of our history. We're going back to 2007 in January when we were at Tenerife. So here we go to El Médano. Right, I haven't got enough hands to do this next bit justice, so I'm going to do my best. Got the camera in this hand, and I've got the stick I'm going to show you, a pole. It's an extending pole in this hand. I shall try and get this right. On the front of the camera is a little connector. There's a similar one inside the top part of this pole. And if I get this in the right place, they will join together, snap into place, and I just fasten that in. So I've now got the camera fastened into the top of the pole. The pole will extend like that, and the camera's controls have now been duplicated down here, so I can turn it on from here. So I take the phone with the app on it and click it into there, and then find the software on the app. The whistling was a notification that I've now got a camera connected to the app. We don't need to know that. So what I can now do, this is the joystick control. I'm actually going to put this on its side so you can see the camera as well. I can now move the camera head around. That's panning from left to right. And I can tilt it up and down. And I can do that from the ground, and I can keep extending this pole up until I can film birds in trees or whatever I intend to do. And I just need to get the wireless module connected to the app so I can see what I'm filming. So that's greatly extended what I can do with the Osmo Pocket. It started out just being a little thing that I kept in my pocket and took odd snaps now and again, and now I find I can do just about everything with it. Better get on with the show because there's a lot more to show you. First, the team we had in Bulgaria in 2007. I think this is us having a bit of a nosh and a drink on Varna Beach. I can't be sure. I'm pretty sure that's the only beach we went to that year. And then we went up to Colin's house and we had a barbecue, as I mentioned earlier.
It's very hot in here. Just what we need on a night like this.
Making me hungry just watching this video. The guy with his shirt hanging open is the next door neighbour, the one whose turkeys were wandering around the garden earlier on in the programme. Anyway, we must move on because we've got to play it smart. We're going digging in the archives again. This month's feature needs a bit of an explanation from me because 4 or 5 decades ago there were people in the charts who were actually speeded up other people, and I'm talking about the Chipmunks, I'm talking about Pinky and Perky. Ray Stevens had a hit record with Bridget the Midget, and it was the thing to do, take your own voice and speed it up and pretend it's someone else. And that's what happens in this radio broadcast from 1985. I wasn't expecting it. I was running a DJ for a day spot. A young lad from school, they were all from school age, this young lad was 16, looked a bit older, and he was very good at what he did. You'll listen to the broadcast now and judge for yourself, and you'll hear his little voice that he brought with him. The video you'll see is also of him, and it's quite a few years later, in 2008, where I kept in touch with this lad because he obviously went into the business after this broadcast, and I went to see him in Liverpool at the Radio City Tower one Sunday morning when he was hosting the breakfast show on Magic 1548.
You can depend on Dickens for Peugeot Talbots.
You can depend on Dickens. Call your friends at Dickens today. Brian Smile.
And it's 11 minutes past 4, and here he is, our young DJ for today, Simon Davis. Are you sure you're 16?
I am 16, as a matter of fact, Mr. Smarty.
Yeah, well, you look a bit older than that. It seems to me, I don't know how this has happened, but on a Friday we always seem to get the one who's done it before, whether it be done a disco or done hospital radio. In your case, it's hospital radio, isn't it?
Hospital radio, and also I do voiceovers for cinemas.
Cinema?
Cinemas.
What do you do at that? What adverts you mean?
Yes, it's just like, you know, the rank chain of cinemas. I actually do the voiceovers advertising all the different films
Well,
that are actually coming.
the films. I was going to say the
Yes.
local firms. Yes, you were telling me actually in reception earlier on that also as part of the hospital radio you have to more or less do everything, including read the news.
That's correct on a Sunday afternoon, because I'm up against the network chart on March of Sound. I've actually got a rival, and there is no news supplied on the hour, so what we have to do, we record the news around about an hour in advance from the teletext, pirating.
Are these all your talents then? Playing records, reading news?
There are quite a few more. I mean, you'd have to hear it to believe it.
Well, we shall say no more about those, just in case. I better not do it live. So who is it you brought with you?
And I'm terribly sorry. I mean, he will behave himself. And as a matter of fact, this is my little co-producer at Radio Line. He's called Junior.
Fine.
Yes, Junior.
I'm bored. Can I have an ice cream?
Not now. Later on, Junior.
Oh,
Hello, Junior.
hiya.
And who are you? How old are you?
6.
You're 6.
Fine.
Yes, Junior. What now?
Who's that?
Well, now, as a matter of fact, that is Brian Smart.
Brian Smart?
That's right, Junior. Yes.
He looks pretty daft if you ask me.
Junior, no, don't say that.
Oh,
What was that? What was that?
Hey, now calm down, Junior, before we get thrown out of here.
Alright, but only if I can have an ice cream.
Oh, here you are then.
Ta.
I'll see you outside later on then, Junior. Ta-ra. Brian, I'm terribly sorry about that. He's usually well behaved.
Has he actually gone now? He won't come back.
It's okay. Once you mention ice cream to Junior and he's gone.
And he doesn't know how far it is to the nearest ice cream shop either.
That's a good
So
job,
he'll be
then.
away for a while. Laura Branigan and Spanish Eddie on the radio. And here on your Marcher Radio, it's Brian Smart with you till 7 o'clock this evening. An extended programme it is. 18 minutes past 4 o'clock, and time now for me to hand over to our young DJ for today. It's Simon Davis.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smart. Right, it's now 4:22 on Marcher Sound, and I suppose most people tuned in today are wondering what the heck is actually being thrown into the airwaves at them this afternoon. Well, not only 2 great records are coming your way, but also some very useless but interesting facts, a time check on a worldwide scale later on, plus a few mentions as well. But seeing as we've got so much to do and so little time in which to do it, we better get on with it right now. That's Ike and Tina Turner with Not Push City Limits from 1973. Good afternoon, it's Simon Davis on Marcher Sound, and a quick reminder now that between 7 and 8 tomorrow night, Tina Turner is the first artist to be featured in a brand new series of 1-hour concerts, so that should be something well worth listening to tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Right, now I said before that I'd actually be reading out some interesting facts for you. Well, I didn't say that they'd be about snails, did I? So here are the first 3 main things about snails. Firstly, did you know that snails can sleep for up to 3 or even 4 years at a time? I never knew that one. It's just like an English lesson, isn't it? Number 2, a single snail can actually possess up to 25,600 teeth. It's amazing. I bet they've got really, really great dentists. And finally, travelling at a top speed of only 2 inches per minute, an athletic snail could complete the Olympic marathon in just a year and a half. Sounds like Brian Smart in a sports day, I don't know. A quick reminder now that in around about 8 minutes time from now, Tom Button is at the news desk with the Marcher News headlines. We'll now take a break.
Scott's Furniture.
Good afternoon, broadcasting from Wesselsham, Wrexham on 238 metres and 1260 kHz in the medium wave. Also on 95.4 MHz VHF in stereo. This is
Marcher Sound.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. Right, I've got an opportunity now to say hello and well done to my big sister, Mandy, better known as Amanda Davis, from the Miss UK 1985 competition. The final was in fact on Wednesday night, and she's now back in Chester, so this record is just for her.
Also on this day in 2002, you probably remember this, a gang plotted Britain's biggest robbery. They were jailed on this day in 2002. Basically, the raiders had planned to steal the world's most expensive diamond. It was this whopping big diamond called the Millennium Star that had been on show at the Dome a couple of years before. They were just inches away from getting away with it when they were caught by police. They were trying to make their getaway in a JCB. I mean to say, if you're going to steal the biggest diamond in the world, you're going to put a little bit more thought into it.
Your station, Chester, D Radio.
We've had cameras out in the places you're allowed to explore, and those include parks and beaches and rivers, as it happens. So this is Grosvenor Park in Chester, with some creations that were made for VE Day that are still there. The pond has got a bit overgrown, but the ducks are still loving it. And this park has a great view of the river. There's one of the bridges across the river from Hambridge, and the social distancing rules mean that individuals can, or family groups can take out the small boats on the river, but of course they can't run the big cruise boats because that would be too many people too close together. So what we saw in this walk along the front here was a lot of people fairly well spaced out. The outdoor food and ice cream kiosks were open, and there were people fishing, there were people out in the little boats. And generally it was a beautiful atmosphere, and obviously you have to pick your weather, but we picked a good day for this. And there was a young girl down there who appeared to just be feeding the ducks and swans, but she actually had a pretty decent camera if you look closely, and I'm sure that she got some good pictures that day. Crossing back over the border into Flintshire, just outside Chester, is where Harden is, and the Harden estate is a private estate that you can get a pass to go onto, but there's also public areas that you can walk, including the old A55. The A55 is the expressway down North Wales along the coast and to Holyhead where you get the ferry. The old A55 looks like this, and you can walk along it. Very little traffic now because there's only 1 or 2 houses here and nobody else drives up here. In fact, part of it you're not allowed to drive on. There's only one end at Tinkersdale. Finally, fintech, financial technology, and this particular feature stems from the fact that last month I told you I'd opened an account with Anna Money, a new startup bank for small businesses. They have already had a failure, not complete failure, but new startup banks use a third party to do all their banking transactions, issue their debit cards and so on. And in this case, it was Wirecard, the company, and they have a German parent company who went into administration about a week ago, apparently because they'd lost 1.8 billion euros from their accounts. There's now some query as to whether that money was even over there. Some kind of fraud has gone on. But because of that, the FCA in Britain put a freeze on the activities of Wirecard in Great Britain. I'm going to put on the screen a whole list of the smaller banks that use Wirecard and then point out that Revolut and Curve, both people I've got accounts with, as soon as this happened, they moved their transactions elsewhere. They're big enough and they've got enough power and enough customers to just get round things like that. But all these new ones, some of the other ones on the screen, and Anna Money, they had their accounts frozen for 3 or 4 days over a weekend. So that was fairly serious, and it's something to watch out for. Other than that, I'd love to show you a video where the gimmick that Anna has is the notification sound. If you go and use this debit card at a store and you touch it contactless onto the terminal, it meows at you. And they had auditions for this cat to do the meows. That was unbelievable. If it was me, I would just go and get a stock sound effect of a cat, or we used to have cats ourselves. I'm sure I already got loads of sounds of that. But no, they booked a studio and they auditioned loads of cats. You've got to see this.
That meow is not really working for me. What's its name?
Bubbles.
Tell Bubbles to leave, please. This is the problem. We don't know what the perfect meow sounds like until we hear it. It needs to sound like a cat, but also that. So how do we get that sound? From a cat. And that is frustrating, but it's also exciting. Rubbish.
Okay, Marco.
We're trying to find a meow that says, I'm a small business owner and I'm popping out to get a coffee.
Good girl.
A bit more sort of business.
Oh, business
A bit
orientated,
more
meow.
business. Meow.
We need like a happy, strong, in control, contactless sound. No.
No.
No. No. Try that again, but lift the cat up so it's higher. No, it can't sound like it's dangerous. That felt very yellow. Does that make sense? I think before this experience, I didn't realise that I was an artist, I suppose, and artists are perfectionists. What does it sound like to you? Cunts. I won't accept mediocre. My customers won't accept mediocre. So yes, it's stressful, but when I hear that perfect meow, it'll be worth it. That one. That's the one. No, I'm allergic, so this is it. You recording?
Yep.
Yes. Perfect. That's it. Hello. Can I get an Americano, please? Thank you. So, yeah, here it is. The business debit card that meows. It just makes sense.
Time to stop pussyfooting about and say goodbye, I suppose. This time 2 years ago, we were at Marina Door in the summer and it was really busy, as you can see. Where else did we go to? Well, New Brighton on the Wirral, strangely enough. They had a continental food market on, which of course hasn't been able to take place this year. I also visited Whitehaven. I had some fish and chips and enjoyed a little tour of the town before getting back on the train. We were repairing the roof at the house in Trythin, and once it was watertight we could start looking inside. Speaking of roofs, we just put a new roof on the house on the hill in Oresh, Bulgaria, and that's all that ever got done to that house. Anyway, that's the show for this month. We'll leave you with the procession at Marina Door and hope you can join us again next month.